Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Jamunatira Panachari Jaya Rathamadava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajacharya Ashtotara Shata Shishimat, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Grantara Shiman Bhagavatam Ki Nitai Gaura Premanandi. Oh glories to the assembled devotees, oh glories to the assembled devotees, oh glories to the assembled devotees, oh glories to Shishiguru and Shigurama. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, the Suman Bonon, Chapter 86. Arjuna kidnaps Subhadra and Krishna blesses his devotees. Text number 46 through 48, 47 and 46 has purports, and they're a bit different too. So we read 46. Text number 46. Srimvatangadatam saswat archatam tva vibhandatam nrinam sambadatam antar hridi vashyamalatmanam Srimvatangadatam saswat archatam tva vibhandatam nrinam sambadatam antar Hridi bhasya malatmanam Srimvatangadatam saswat archatam tva vibhandatam nrinam sambadatam antar Hridi bhasya malatmanam. Christian. Srimvatangadatam saswat archatam tva vibhandatam nrinam sambadatam antar Hridi bhasya malatmanam. Srimvatangadatam saswat archatam tva vibhandatam Nrinam sambadatam antar Ridi bhasya malatmanam Srimbatam. For those who are hearing, Gadatam, speaking, Saswat, constantly, Archatam, worshipping, Twa, you, Abhibhandatam, offering praise, Nrinam, for men, Sambadatam, conversing, Antaha, within, Ridi, the heart, Bhasi, you appear, Amala, spotless, Atmanan, whose minds. Translation by the disciples of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. You reveal yourself within the hearts of those of pure consciousness who constantly hear about you, chant about you, worship you, glorify you, and converse with one another about you. This is Shrutadev speaking. Text number 47. Hridisto piati Hristo piati durasta karma vikshipta chetasam atmasakti bhir agrahyo pyanti upeta kudatmanam. Translation and purport by the disciples of Prabhupada. But although you reside within the heart, you're very far away from those whose minds are disturbed by their entanglement in material world. Indeed, no one can grasp you by his material powers, but you reveal yourself only in the hearts of those who have learned to appreciate your transcendental qualities. Purport. The all merciful Lord is in everyone's heart. Seeing him there, however, is possible only when one's heart is completely purified. Materialists may demand that God prove his existence by coming into view as a result of their empirical investigations, but God has no need to respond to such impudence. As Krishna states in Bhagavad Gita 7:25, Naham prakasha sarvasya yogamaya samavrita mudho jam nabijanati lokomam ajam avyajam. Quote, I'm never manifest to the foolish and unintelligent. For them I am covered by my internal potency, and therefore they do not know that I am unborn and infallible. End of quote. Text number 48. Namos Namostute Dyatmavidam Paratmane Atmane Atmane Swatma Vibhakta Mrityave Sakarana Karanalingan Iyushe Somayaya Sambritaruda Drishtaye. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada's disciples. Let me offer my obeisance unto you. You are realized as the Supreme Soul by those who know the absolute truth. Whereas in your form of time, you impose death upon the forgetful souls. You appear both in your costless spiritual form and in the created forms of this universe. Thus, simultaneously uncovering the eyes of your devotees and obstructing the vision of the non-devotees. Purport. When the Lord appears before his devotees in his eternal spiritual form, their eyes become uncovered in the sense that all vestiges of illusion are dispelled and they drink in the beautiful vision of the absolute truth, the personality of Godhead. For the non-devotees, on the other hand, the Lord appears as material nature, his universal form, and in this way he covers the vision so that his spiritual personal form remains invisible to them. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti gives another interpretation of this verse based on an alternative understanding of Atmane, a form of the word Anatma. Various classes of men know the absolute truth in different ways. The devotees of the Lord who are in a reciprocal mood of neutral admiration, Shantarasha, meditate on the Supreme as possessing divine personal form, Atma, or Sri Vigraha, transcending all aspects of material illusion. The impersonal philosopher Jnanis conceive him as formless, Anatma, and the envious demons see him in the form of death. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Shrimate Ramapada Swami Iti Namine. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirveshesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Deshatarine Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyas Cha Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So yesterday we hear during the class that Krishna is in the heart of the pure devotees. But also we discussed that, as I say here, Krishna is in the heart of all living entities. So the difference between the pure devotees and the living entities is that one can see and the other one cannot see. Although the Lord is fully present there. So the seeing of the Lord in his personal form, which is present within the heart, is something that is described in the scripture, and it is described here by Shrutadev as is praying to Lord Krishna and also offering his praises to the sages that were accompanying Krishna. So he's speaking to the sages. And yesterday we heard that in his offering of prayers to the sages, he says that you are worthy. You're basically similar to the Lord because you carry the Lord within your heart. So this idea of carrying the Lord within the heart. So the way it becomes clear is this carrying the Lord within your heart is when you actually fully aware of Krishna from within your heart and you're in that perfect communion or contact. And you're able to fully see the personality of Godhead from within your heart. And as such, when that is there, then the devotee, fully experiencing the Supreme Lord from within the heart, he also sees the Supreme Lord everywhere. And that is so that is something that is part of um, the symptoms of these advanced souls. Shrutadev, the Brahmana Shrutadev, describe what are the qualities of such sages, devotees, who carry Krishna within their hearts. And he says that only happens that Krishna reveals himself from within the heart of such a personality, such a devotee, when this devotee is pure in consciousness. So he says, within the heart of those persons of pure consciousness. Pure consciousness. Pure consciousness means that there is no trace of material, any materialistic desires, any hankerings, any fear, any lamentation. Yesterday was expressed, free from envy, that was highlighted, free from duality, and fully transcendental. So there's so much description right here. Um, the Brahmana Shrutadev, great devotee, he explains that the symptoms of such person is that he's constantly engaged in hearing and chanting and remembering the personality of God that is within the heart. Constantly, constantly. And constantly worshiping Him and glorifying Him. And always engage in talking, engaging in the kata, Krishna kata. Similarly described of Krishna. Krishna also in the Bhagavad Gita, he described the same thing, the qualities of such devotee. Famous verse, Satatan kirtayanto man yatantas chadridita brataha, that constantly, Satatan means constantly, always chanting his glories, always chanting his glories. And for these devotees, that's they do it with great determination and endeavor. Is their vow. The word that is used is Drida Brataha. Drida Brataha means with great, it's a vow of great determination. That there's nothing in their life, it is explained, that is anything but Krishna Kata. Everything is like that. I have the opportunity for a period of my life to be a servant of my spiritual master. And during the time in Brooklyn that he was always there, then I have part of my service was to be part of his crew. So I was seeing, I be with him a lot of the time, and I became aware that every single thing my spiritual master would do was never lack hearing and chanting about the Lord. At all times, even when he was taking care of his bodily necessities, he was listening. Sometimes I would have to shave him, and when that is there, shave his head. And he always plays. It was There was never a time that was no hearing, even when you're doing those things, maintenance of the body. he always carry at that time, the 80s, there was a Walkman. The Walkman came out, and the Walkman has a little speaker. So he will play the tapes of Srila Prabhupada's lecture while doing all these things. He will do the same thing when we serve him prasad and I bring his plate, and he still does the same thing now with a different technology, but it's exactly the same thing every day of his life, at least since I know him. And it's been now 40 something years. So constantly engage in that. There's no a time that you're not here and engaged in the process of hearing and chanting and remembering. And namasyantas chaman bhaktya, namasyantas, glorify, offering obeisances and worshiping the Lord. So this is nitya yukta, perpetually engaged in that. So that's the quality of such devotee. The term that Krishna uses is Mahatma. Mahatma. Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. And then he explained that Mahatmas is very rare. It's very, very rare. It's a very rare thing. It's not a simple thing to come to that stage of perfection. That is what is called the Uttama Bhakta, or the pure devotee, pure unalloyed devotee. There's no mix. Unalloyed means that there is no mix of anything. It's just pure. So when you come to that stage, then what happened? Then Krishna gives the vision. So in order to be able to see the Lord, you have your spiritual eye have to be fully open, and that is given by Krishna. Krishna tells Arjuna that that you cannot see me, with your regular eyes or with your material senses. We cannot understand. This is something that Srila Rupa Goswami teaches of, that we cannot understand not only the form of the Lord or see the form of the Lord, but his name, his qualities, his pastimes with our blunt senses. It's not possible to understand. Therefore, Krishna is called Adokshaya, that is beyond sensorial experience. It's transcendental. So it's not possible. So Krishna tells Arjuna, you cannot see me with your present eyes. Therefore, I will give you this code that he calls Divya Chakshu, or divine vision, spiritual vision. And with that, then you should be able to see. So what is this spiritual vision? How do you achieve that? Lord Brahma, he explains that um, in the Brahma Samhita, he explains that. What is that that allows one's spiritual eye to open? And then when the spiritual eye opens, then you can see Krishna. And Lord Brahma says that in the prayer of Brahma Samhita, Premanjana Churito Bhakti Bilo Chanena, Shanta Shadaiva Hida Eshu Bilo Kajanti, Jan Shama Sundaram, Achintya Guna Swarupan, Govindam Adi Purushantamaham Bhajan. So your eyes have to be, it's open when the smear, the analogy is that smear with the ointment or the salve of prema, pure love, when one achieves prema bhakti, then that actually functions as the cure from material. So meaning that now your spiritual senses opens, your spiritual eye opens. So premanjana, anjana means the salve, and prema. So this the ointment of prema uh, allows that to happen, and then from within the heart, Shanta Shadaiva Hridayeshu, um, Shanta, the pure devotees, Shanta, always within the heart, they would be able to see their Lord, Shamasundar, Jan Shamasundar. Although whose form is inconceivable, then they should be able to see. They should be able to see Achintya Guna Swarupan, not only his form, but also his beautiful qualities. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta comments in this verse, and he is very, very wonderful. The purport. I'm going to read it for you. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta comment purport on this verse. This is Brahma Samhita, the famous chapter 5, text number 38. True devotees see that the form in their purified hearts, under the influence of devotional trance, the form Shama is not the blue color visible in the mundane world, but is a transcendental variegated color affording eternal bliss, and is not visible to the mortal eye. On a consideration of the trance of Vyasadeva in the shloka Bhakti Yogena Manasi, this is in the Bhagavatam, when it's described the maturity of the trance when Srila Vyasadeva, the compilers of the Vedas, after following the instructions of Narada Muni, meditated and achieved his full perfection, the full maturity of his realization. And mind it, he have already compiled all the four Vedas in written form, and the Brahma Sutras, and the Mahabharata, and the Upanishads. All these he have compiled, and he was still haven't reached the full maturity of his devotional service. And then when he reached that, then is what Srila Bhaktisiddhanta is describing here. So then he was able to see Krishna and all his energies at that moment. So uh, quite something. So I say, on a consideration of the trance of Vyasadeva, as in the sloka Bhakti Yogena Manashi, it will be clear that the form of Sri Krishna is the full personality of Godhead and can only be visible in the heart of a true devotee, which is the only true seat in the state of trance under the influence of devotion. There's more, but it gets into some other thing. But the point is that um, is almost when one reaches that stage of perfection of prema bhakti, then one is able to actually see and have that intimate connection with the Lord. And so, what is this stage? This stage of purity, this perfectional stage of devotional service. Because we know that, and how can we recognize them? How can we what what is the understanding that we have? Because that is where that's our ideals. That's what we're looking for to achieve. Srila Rupa Goswami described these three different stages of devotion: the beginning, the intermediate, and the advanced. Kanishta, Madhyama, and Uttama. And this is also described both by Srila Rupa Goswami following the teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and described in the Nectar of Instruction. He also described the qualities of such personality in the Nectar of Instruction. And we hear in the Bhagavatam specifically the description of these three levels in the Uddhava Gita by Krishna himself, described to Uddhava. And of course, in the nectar of instructions, we hear what are the qualities of such personalities and how can we recognize it. It's important to recognize them because it's those personalities that we should seek shelter of to be able to be guided from the initial stages of devotional service to the stage of perfection. So how do we recognize? Srila Rupa Goswami says that when you see someone who is controlling the Vacho Vegan, Manasa Krodha Vegan, Jiva Vegan, Udaropasta Vegan, Etam Vega Cho Vishesheta Dhira. When you find this Dhira, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, you must search for this Dhira devotee. Dhira means someone who understands the absolute truth. And furthermore, is a devotee who have seen, who have taken darshan of the absolute truth. Tattva darshi, darsha. You have seen. Devotee whose eyes has been opened. So we should search for those devotees and learn from them. And tadvidhi pradipatina pariprasena sevaya upadeshyanti te gyanan tattva darshina. So we're looking for those persons. So Vacho Vegan controls the tongue, and the tongue have these two functions, eating and speech. So what is the the use of the tongue of such a dhira devotee or pure devotee is that he's always speaking about Krishna. Satatan kirtayantoman, just like Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita. Just like Shrutadev Brahmanas is saying, constantly chanting, hearing and chanting. Manasa Krodha Vegan, that his mind is fully controlled. What Prabhupada translates here, that it controls the demands of the mind. Yesterday, Krishna Archana was speaking about the mind, who can be, an enemy or could be a friend. It was yesterday, no? We spoke about it. Also on Sunday. So the mind, the mind has all these demands. thinking, willing, and feeling. Feeling, thinking, and willing. Yes. So I like, I don't like, and this and that. Yesterday we heard about it. When that's perfectly under control. Because the mind, when it's not control, the symptoms of a mind that is your worst enemy is that the mind is the source of these miseries that is caused by your body and by your mind. It is explained and is understood that the physical illness sort of starts with illness within the mind and then manifests physically. So there's a connection there. So the mind becomes a source of all kinds of miseries, which is called um, what is it? There's this. It will be adibodhika, atma. I can't remember now. I got a blank. But the three miseries, one causes from your body and your mind. But for the pure devotee, mind is perfect. Perfect is like steady, like a lamp in a windless space. There is no flickering. There is no demands. There is no hankerings. There is no desires. Everything is perfect and perfectly balanced. Krodha vegan, and therefore one is free from anger. From anger, and then they very much connected to anger is fear, envy. All these different things are very much connected. And jiva, the tongue, we mentioned already. Actually, vacha vegan means speech, so meaning that you only speak Krishna Katha. And jiva vegan is that you engage the tongue in only for the service of Krishna, control the tongue, and then the belly and the genitals. When all these things are controlled, then you can approach this person because this person is qualified to give devotional instruction, to be a spiritual master. In the in the nectar of instruction, Srila Rupa Goswami explains these three divisions, and he defines the Uttamadhikari, or the pure devotee, is one who is expert in Bhakti Shastras. Logic and reason, has firm, mature, and unbreakable faith in Bhagavan Sri Krishna. So, expert means, in perfect knowledge, and specifically very well acquainted with the Bhakti Shastras. I just recently we're listening to the Srimad Bhagavatam, the Canto 5, and the pastimes of Jat Bharat, which is a pure devotee, such pure devotee, but playing the part of a dumb fool, mad fool. Therefore, he was called Jada. Jada means mad. He was playing this part in order not to associate with materialistic people. And the reason he got to that was because he made a mistake, although a pure devotee, And in fact, his father was an avatar of the Lord, Maharaj Rishabdev, like Krishna Archana mentioned yesterday also about Maharaj Rishabdev instructing his 100 sons. The eldest of his 100 sons is Bharat Maharaj, who was a pure devotee, so qualified not only as a devotee but also as a responsible devotee to facilitate others, that this earth is named after him, Bharat Varsha. Famous, perfect personality. And while performing the last part and actually coming to the point of being able to be in perfect devotion, he became attached to a deer, and then he had to take birth as a deer. And then as a deer, just because of the power of his devotion and his status, he was able to remember his previous life as a deer. And then when he passed, he left the body of the deer, then he again appeared as the pure son of a Brahmana, pure Brahmana. But he decided, I'm not going to take any risk, so I'm going to be sort of disguised. So I'm going to play this very foolish, mad person who couldn't make, that completely nonsense. It's like seeing some crazy person walking in the street here in Rogers Park. It's a common sight. Uh, and he was known as the crazy Bharat, Jat Bharat. So he plays that part, and everybody couldn't understand that he was such a perfected, elevated devotee that could instruct the whole world. And he only revealed that to King Rahugana, who, after insulting him and then, um, was abusing him, the circumstances came to bring them together, and King Rahugana was abusing this Jat Bharat. And Jat Bharat, although he had made a determination not to reveal to anyone his position, he decided to do that out of compassion for the king, because the king was committing these offenses and was in the brink actually of killing Jat Bharat, because becoming frustrated more and more with Jat Bharat, sort of uh, external display of foolishness. He was so frustrated that he was going to kill him. But Jat Bharat just saw that the last people who was trying to kill him, got completely demolished by Goddess Kali. The situation was that some worshippers of Kali wanted to use Jat Bharat as a human sacrifice for Goddess Kali. And when they were ready to actually sacrifice Jat Bharat, Goddess Kali burst out the deity form and just completely demolished them and killed them and cut their heads, and anyway, some gory description. So Jat Bharat became compassionate to the king. If he does these offenses, who knows what could happen to him, and he's a king. So he revealed himself. He started to speak instructions to the king. And finally, after so much the king coming to realize, oh, this is not just a fool, crazy fool. This is a very sanely elevated personality. So he received instruction. So um, the Uttama Adhikari have this quality who have perfect knowledge, and he can instruct anyone in the process or the path of devotional service to elevate oneself to perfection. And with perfect logic and reason. And the fact is that the faith, it cannot it cannot fall down. Of course, the question that Maharaj Parikshit asked Sukadev Goswami as they're narrating the pastimes of Bharat Maharaj is, how is that he fell down? you know, it's a pure devotee, so how he fell down? And the reason is that he still have a little more to cover. And Krishna was not only eliminating that for him, some remnant thing. Uh, so it was said that he was in the stage of bhava, not in the stage of prema. And it is explained that in the stage of bhava, you start to, experience the affection, the love. So it's the initial, it's like your eyes are starting to open, but not the stage of prema. And there's descriptions of the Madhyama Adhikari by Srila Rupa Goswami. Is one who has full faith in the Shastras and Bhagavan Sri Krishna but lacks expertise in transcendental wisdom. And Srila Jiva Goswami explains that lacking expertise in Shastra means that one has general knowledge of Shastra and firm faith which will not break even if one cannot defeat opposing arguments. So it's not the full mature, it's like explained like Srila Vyasadeva. After so much effort, meditation, he achieved that maturity, full maturity. So the Madhyama still have way to go. But, he has a very thorough understanding of the Shastras. And the Kanishta is the lowest level of devotees who have very little knowledge of Shastra, weak, tender faith, which can easily be broken by contrary belief or opposing arguments. And in the 11th canto, then there is a descriptions. Well, actually, I was saying that this is Uddhava. This is in the Uddhava Gita. It's not in the Uddhava Gita. I'm so sorry. This is the instructions of the sages of the Navayogendras, who also, by the way, were sons of Rishabdev and were instructed the quote that you have yesterday of Rishabdev instructing. The Navayogendras also are the sons of Rishabdev among the 100 sons. So now in this case, they're instructing Maharaj Nimi, which was related to King Bahulasya. It's in the same lineage. And so in that instructions of the Navayogendras to King Nimi, then they explain about this, the description of the different levels of devotees. So it's very wonderful. I read the whole thing, it's about 6 or 7 verses. Sri Havir said, The most advanced devotee sees within everything the soul of all souls, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. Consequently, he sees everything in relation to the Supreme and understands that everything that exists is eternally situated within the Lord. An intermediate or second class devotee called Madhyamadikari offers his love to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is a sincere friend to all the devotees of the Lord, show mercy to the ignorant people who are innocent, and disregard those who are envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. A devotee who faithfully engages in the worship of the deity in the temple but does not behave properly toward other devotees or people in general is called Prakrita Bhakta, or materialistic devotee, and is considered to be in the lowest position. Even while engaging his senses in contact with their objects, one who sees this whole world as the energy of Lord Vishnu is neither repelled nor elated. He is indeed the greatest among devotees. Within the material world, one's material body is always subject to birth and decay. Similarly, the life air, prana, is harassed by hunger and thirst. The mind is always anxious. The intelligence hankers for that which cannot be obtained. And all of the senses are ultimately exhausted by constant struggle in the material nature. A person who is not bewildered by the inevitable miseries of material existence and who remains aloof from them simply by remembering the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is to be considered Bhagavat Pradhan, the foremost devotee of the Lord. One who has taken exclusive shelter of the Supreme Lord Vasudeva becomes free from the fruitive activities which are based on material lust. In fact, one who has taken shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord is free from even the desire to enjoy material sense gratification. Plans for enjoying sex life, social prestige, and money cannot develop within his mind. Thus, he is considered Bhagavat Uttama, a pure devotee of the Lord on the highest platform. Birth an aristocratic family and the execution of austerities and pious activities certainly cause one to take pride in himself. Similarly, if one enjoys a prestigious position within society because his parents are highly respected members of the Vanashram social system, one becomes even more infatuated with himself. But if despite of this excellent material qualification, one does not feel even a tinge of pride within himself, he is to be considered the dearmost servitor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When a devotee gives up selfish conceptions by which one thinks, this is my property and that is his, and when he is no longer concerned with the pleasure of his own material body, or indifferent to the discomforts of others, he becomes fully peaceful and satisfied. He considers himself simply one among all the living beings who are equally parts and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such a satisfied Vaishnava is considered to be at the highest standard of devotional service. Anyway, it goes on, and finally comes to this conclusion. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is so kind to the conditioned soul that if they call upon him by speaking his holy name, even unintentionally or unwillingly, the Lord is inclined to destroy innumerable sinful reactions in their hearts. Therefore, when a devotee who have taken shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord chants the holy name of Krishna with genuine love, the Supreme Personality of Godhead can never give up the heart of such devotee. One who had thus captured the Supreme Lord within his heart is to be known as the Bhagavat Pradhan, the most exalted devotee of the Lord. I'm going to conclude this with Srila Prabhupada explaining about this position of perfectional devotional service and why it's so important to always search for the association of such devotee. Srila Prabhupada writes, this is from a lecture on the nectar of devotion, famous lecture that he gave in Vrindavan in 1972 to his disciples that when they first came to Vrindavan. He's plain, an Uttama Adhikari that is very rarely obtained this stage. Uttama Adhikari has only equal one vision, Sama Sarveshu Bhuteshu Matbhaktin Labate. The Uttama Adhikari, he does not think he is envious of his this, of his that. He sees that everyone is engaged in Krishna consciousness. That is not to be imitated. To become a first-class devotee, that is very difficult job. And he continues, and this is actually on a morning walk in Mayapur, 1976. Not that a tiny devotee can claim he has that he has overcome the influence of this world. No. This is called Paramahamsa. Sa Gurun Samatitya Itam. Bhagavad Gita 14:26. Not that because you have taken to devotional, you have become immediately, the process has begun immediately, curing process. But we should not think that we have become perfect. That is wrong. Yagya dana tapa karma natva yam. Therefore, you must follow the regulated principles. As soon as you become a rascal, now I have become advanced. I don't require to chant 16 rounds. I can do whatever I like. Then you have gone to hell. Upstart. Immediately he becomes Paramahansa. He's a rascal. He has given the path of becoming Paramahamsa. One is admitted in the school, he must learn, and one day he will become MA. But simply by entering the school and he say, I am MA, this is rascaldom. This is a chance to become Jitendriya is very difficult task, but it is easy if he immediately becomes a pure devotee. Anabhilashita shunyam. Everything makes zero, all desire except Krishna consciousness. That is wanted. But that does not become very easily done. One has to try very rigidly, then he'll be Paramahansa. Therefore, amongst the devotees, there are three grades, Kanishta, Madhyama, and Uttama. So if the Kanishta Adhikari thinks, I have become Uttama Adhikari, then he's rascal. He's a rascal. If he wants to imitate the Uttama Adhikari, then he's a rascal. Morning walk. Srila Prabhupada, there's a couple more that are very wonderful. Prabhupada, this is in the Chaitanya Charitamrita purport. The Guru must be situated on the topmost platform of devotional service. There are three classes of devotees, and the Guru must be accepted from the topmost class. And also from the Chaitanya Adi Lila, The bona fide spiritual master engaged in unalloyed devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By this test, he is known to be a direct manifestation of the Lord and a genuine representative of Sri Nityananda Prabhu. And then a couple more, and then we finish. This is from the Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila, purport of 22 to 71. It should be understood that a Madhyama Adhikari, a second-class devotee, is fully convinced of Krishna consciousness, but cannot support his convictions with Shastric reference. A neophyte may fall down by association with non-devotees, because he is not firmly convinced and strongly situated. The second-class devotee, even though he cannot support his position with Shastric reference, can gradually become a first-class devotee by studying the Shastras and associating with a first-class devotee. However, if the second-class devotee does not advance himself by associating with a first-class devotee, he makes no progress. There is a possibility that a first-class devotee will fall down. Sorry, there is no possibility that a first-class devotee will fall down, even though he may mix with non-devotees to preach. Conviction and faith gradually increase to make one an Uttama Adhikari, a first-class devotee. And then finally, one is therefore advised to study Bhagavad Gita or any other scriptures under a bona fide spiritual master with service and surrender. A bona fide spiritual master is in the disciplic succession from time eternal, and he does not deviate at all from the instructions of the Supreme Lord, as they were imparted millions of years ago to the Sun God, from whom the instructions of Bhagavad Gita have come down to the earthly kingdom. One should therefore follow on the path of Bhagavad Gita as is expressed in the Gita itself, and be aware of self-interested people after personal aggrandizement who deviate others from the actual path. This is from a purport in the Bhagavad Gita 4.42. Any comments or questions? Raminta has.
Yeah, thank you for the class. And I just kind of had this notice that, that Paramatma and our Jiva lives in our heart, but also, like, at least, like, that's what Sri Prabhupada said, that we all have some kind of like the demoniac part to us, that's why we're on earth. Where would that be in our, I don't know, bodies or energies? Or is that through,
Yeah, in the third chapter of the Gita, Krishna explains to Arjuna where these things is situated. He describes it as lust,
okay.
and he has his headquarters in the senses, the mind, and the intelligence. So, so he have grab control on those.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I suppose there's this, through the reading, the breakdown of the three um, different levels of devotees. It's quite interesting that persons engaged in worship of the deity can indeed be on the lowest rung because it's a beginning process of the worship of Lord Krishna. So that's particular problem that arises in that section of devotees that was brought up through the class of not being able to behave properly towards others, that the behavior is definitely not proper towards others. Um, uh, it's kind of and well, one aspect that's coming to mind is the remedy for the Majjhima Adhikari on the next level, to who's not in touch with Shastra, is to associate with the Uttama Adhikari. So in the case of, I guess it would fall, the devotees worshipping the deity may still be on the lowest rung, the Kanishta Adhikari. So the remedy for the persons who are in that category that are don't have that capacity to behave properly towards others, other devotees even, um, um, would it be the continued connection and worship of the deity, or the similar to the Madhyama Adhikari, just the shelter provided by the Uttama Adhikari that um, um, keeps them still within the devotional realm, even with the very bad behavior towards other devotees.
Yeah, well, the for the Madhyama, what is explained is that he, the Madhyama, has a very good understanding of the Shastras, but not fully perfect. So the recommendation is to continue studying the Shastras and in association with the Uttama Adhikaris. So, and um, and as far of the Kanishtas, then the recommendation for Kanishtas, in fact, part of the duties of being in that level of devotional services that one have to engage in sadhana bhakti, bhajana kriya, the process of sadhana, by following the rules and regulations of sadhana bhakti under the instruction of an advanced devotee, and that could be a madhyama and an uttama. As long as one is fully engaged in the process of sadhana bhakti, engage in devotional service, so one become purified. So then these two stages, bhajana kriya and anartha nivriti, that's what will bring you to the next stage of madhyama. Yeah, I was just thinking, you know, that similarly to the, say, in the description, Krishna is coming to visit these two devotees, and so many people were able to see Krishna and really appreciate the beauty of Krishna. But there's a difference between them and these two devotees and the description that they carry the Lord within the heart. So in our condition, we also sing Krishna every day. We come and see Krishna, and we see, and there's no doubt the devotees who come to see Krishna is because they can actually appreciate and see Krishna, Kishori's beauty. So when we're able to have the capacity to see, Krishna allows us to see his beauty. So there's a difference between Sometimes people come to visit the temple and they can connect with the deity, but then others comes and immediately they connect and appreciate the beauty. So so you can see but not necessarily carry Krishna at all time within your heart. So for us devotees who can see the deity, and usually that's the symptom of a kanishta, we can see the deities and we can appreciate and we have a connection with the deities, but we're still not able to carry Krishna within the heart because our heart is not fully purified. So we have to go through that. The kanishta is that we have work to do to purify the heart, and that's the whole thing of anartha nivriti. That's our understanding. I was just thinking that, you know, the people were able to see, but Krishna didn't go to visit them. Krishna went to visit these two who were always carrying him within the heart. And he was situated in their heart. And Sutadev is saying that today. You actually take residence in their hearts because you can't give up their hearts. Because their heart is of that type of quality. So it's quite beautiful. Thank you. Grantara Bhagavatam ki jai.